On June 25th, 2009, the world lost Michael Jackson, the king of pop, the man who redefined music, dance and stardom. But what really happened in the final chapter of his life? The official cause was a later reaction to a powerful hospital anesthetic administered at his home. His personal doctor was held responsible. But Michael's story doesn't end with medicine. You see, to truly understand his final moments, we must look at the years of battles, betrayals, the fears that consumed him belong that night. For decades, Michael Jackson lived under a microscope. Fame made him larger than life, but it also made him an easy target. The pressure wasn't just about music, it was about money, power, and the industry itself. An industry where he had made both friends and enemies, but the weight of accusations would forever shape his legacy. In 1993, a 13-year-old boy and his family accused Michael Jackson of misconduct. The claim came out of nowhere, shocking fans and the industry. What followed was a media circus. Tabloids splashed his face across every front page. Anchors branded him guilty before a single day in court, and public opinion turned overnight. You see, Michael denied everything. His supporters pointed out contradictions in the family story, but the pressure was unbearable. After months of relentless headlines and threat of a criminal case, Michael settled the civil suit for a reported $23 million. Critics saw the settlement as proof of guilt. Supporters argued it was an attempt to buy peace, to make the nightmare end. Years later, it was revealed that the boy's mother admitted she had lied under oath, but by then, the damage was done. Next up came the Beatles catalog. At the very same time, Michael had become not just a superstar, but one of the most powerful businessmen in music. In the early 1980s, while working with Paul McCartney, the two often joked about the real money being in songwriting and publishing, and not just performing. Paul casually told Michael, "You should get into music publishing, buy up the rights to songs." Michael took the advice to heart, and in 1985, when ATV Music, the company that owned the Beatles catalog, went up for sale, Michael outbid everyone, including McCartney himself. For $47.5 million, he acquired the rights to some of the greatest songs ever written. Overnight, he became a titan of the industry, controlling music that even his idols had created. Paul McCartney was stunned. What he thought was a casual advice had turned Michael into a business empire. Industry executives were furious. Suddenly, Michael wasn't just an artist, he was a power player who could outmaneuver the old guard. Some say that move made him unstoppable. Others believe he painted a target on his back. Then next came the 2005 trial. More than a decade after the first accusations, Michael found himself back in the crosshairs. In 2003, a documentary called Living with Michael Jackson aired, showing him holding hands with a young boy and speaking openly about letting children sleep in his bedroom. The documentary caused outrage, and prosecutors in California quickly reopened old wounds. In 2005, Michael stood trial again, this time for criminal charges. The prosecution painted him as dangerous. The defense argued he was eccentric, yes, but innocent. Witness after witness was called, but many of them damaged the accuser's credibility rather than Michael's. The boy's mother was grilled on the stand about past false claims she had made, including fraud against department stores and others. Her story shifted under questioning, and the jury took note. Chris Tucker, the actor and comedian who had befriended Michael, testified for the defense. He told the court he had grown suspicious of the family long before the accusations, warning Michael to be cautious around them. His testimony painted the accusers as opportunistic rather than truthful. After 4 months, the jury deliberated, and in June 2005, Michael was acquitted on every single count. Inside the courtroom, he was cleared, but outside, his image was never fully restored. The media had already decided his guilt years earlier. Then next, Michael went on exile. The trial took a devastating toll. Michael was thinner, weaker, and emotionally drained. The stress of years in the spotlight, endless lawsuits, and financial pressures nearly broke him, so he left for the first time in his life. Michael walked away from America and settled in Bahrain. There, he lived quietly as a guest of the royal family. He was rarely seen in public. Instead, he spent time with his children, wrote in private, and dreamed of a future comeback. For a brief moment, he found peace away from flashing cameras, but peace didn't last. You see, by the late 2000s, Michael's once vast fortune was crumbling. Despite selling over 750 million records, his lifestyle and legal battles had drained his account. He borrowed heavily against his most valuable asset, the Sony ATV catalog, the very company that housed the Beatles songs. Bankers and creditors circled like sharks. Without new income, Michael risked losing everything he had built. The solution? A comeback tour. In 2009, Michael announced a massive return to the stage. Standing before reporters in London, he declared, "This is it. This will be my final shows." Fans erupted in joy. Tickets for 50 concerts at London's O2 Arena sold out in hours. It was the fastest selling concert series in history. To the public, Michael seemed ready for one last dance, but behind the scenes, he was exhausted. Rehearsals pushed him to the limit. Sleepless nights grew worse. His dependence on medication deepened. He wanted perfection, but his body was failing him. Friends recalled that he left meetings cancelled at the last minute, sensing something wasn't right. He switched hotels constantly. He refused food unless it was prepared in front of him, and he spoke of being watched or feeling haunted. One night, he made a late phone call to a friend. His voice was shaking. "They're after me. I'm scared. Something is going to happen, and I feel it coming soon." And on another time, he quietly told a confidant, "If anything happens, remember what I've been saying." These weren't the words of a man simply struggling with fame. They were the words of someone who felt trapped in a world where enemies were invincible but ever present. In his last year, Michael turned inward. He began journaling about faith and forgiveness. He spoke about his children more, worrying about how they would remember him. He wanted them to know him as an artist, not a scandal, a father, not a headline. And those close to him remember moments of clarity where he reflected on the course of his life. To one friend, he said, "I gave everything to this world, but they still want more." And then came his last public words. Standing in front of cameras, looking calm but almost resigned, he said, "This is it, the final curtain call." Michael's passing will forever raise questions. Was it medical negligence? Was it a conspiracy? Or was it simply the final chapter of a man the world could never let rest? And even today, his shadow looms over the music industry. His art, his controversies, his brilliance, and his pain all live on. He was more than the king of pop. He was a man who carried the weight of a crown too heavy for anyone to bear.